There are three types of food hacks. The genuinely useful tricks that are simple to try out and solve a real problem. The less useful hacks that appear clever but solve problems that no one ever has, such as leftover wine. And the downright absurd, why on earth would you even try to do that kind of hack? As evidence of the latter, when researching for this piece, we came across the story of a woman who skewers her lamb roast with fizzers rather than garlic cloves and rosemary. Yeah, those sticky pink candies. That particular tip went into the "we don't think so" pile. I'm Mike with List25, and today, in no particular order, we bring you incredible food hacks that'll definitely make your life easier and save you from attempting any recipe incorporating chocolates into your potato bake or Fritos onto your salad. If you like a soggy, watery sandwich, then you must be one of the 1%. For the rest of us, there's an easy fix to prevent soggy sandwiches. Simply place ingredients like sliced tomato or cucumber between two layers of paper towels for 5 minutes to reduce the amount of water seeping out. Cucumbers are gross. Mike hack, don't use cucumbers. Ew. This will absorb any excess moisture before you add them to your sandwiches. Spreading butter, cheese, or mayo on the bread first will also help act as a barrier to protect your bread from the more watery ingredients. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know people are gonna go, but it doesn't taste like anything in that exact voice, which is weird. Exactly. It doesn't taste like anything. So in the middle of my sandwich, or my biggest pet peeve of that is I have to get it in sushi, no cucumber. I would sub it for avocado. Just in the middle of my food is a taste void of nothingness. I don't want that. Cucumber's gross. I love pickles. Mike hack. No cucumbers. You're welcome. If you think this looks like some complicated formula, then relax. It really isn't. 10 plus 2 times 5 means work for 10 minutes, rest for 2, work for 10, rest for 2, and so on and so forth, keeping this routine going throughout the day. The 5 comes from the 5 times you'll do this every hour, as in 5 10 minutes and 5 2 minutes, equaling 60 minutes. Writer and podcaster Merlin Mann thought of the idea. I hear he's a wizard when it comes to productivity. God. The bridge of your nose, that is. If you absolutely have to stop a sneeze, like you're standing an inch away from someone on the subway and you're about to cover them in gunk, here's how to do it. Holding your nose or pressing underneath your nose can kind of make your nervous system abandon the sneeze. A disclaimer, sneezing is something your body does to expel various nasty things, plus you can actually injure yourself, so stopping one is not recommended. Remember, if the nose is gonna blow, best let that snot go. Better a tissue than a medical issue. I'm a rhymer, didn't even know it. But my feet knew it, they're Longfellows. Now, let's get one thing clear before I dive in. I'm not saying everyone's a criminal and police aren't the bad guys, but for today's list, I'm taking a look at some of the tactics they're allowed to use. For instance, you should know that when a cop pulls you over and casually asks, "Do you know why I stopped you?" It's not just small talk. It's a loaded question designed to get you to confess to something, even if they don't have solid evidence yet. A lot of people panic and blur out a guess like, "Was I speeding?" Or, "I didn't mean to run the stop sign," thinking it'll score points for honesty. It doesn't. It just hands them an easy confession they can use against you. The smartest move? Keep it polite and say, "No, officer." That way, you're not giving them anything to work with. But they're not always fishing for words. Sometimes they're fishing for permission, too. Forget about meaty fingers and ugly misshapen meatballs. Use an ice cream scoop for portioning your minced beef mixture, and you'll always wind up with that perfect spherical end product that's uniform in size. If you're scared to try it out, we rounded up an easy how-to. Simply put part of the meatball mixture in one hand and use a scooper to make equal-sized meatballs to place on your baking sheet or inside your pan. After scooping, gently roll them in your hands to form round meatballs. You can lightly moisten your hands with water to keep the meatballs from sticking while rolling. And voila. Didn't know we were going French, did you? Boom. We just got French up in here. Make sure you don't have ugly balls. Check out that tip. You may know that color affects your mood, so it can be helpful for your productivity too. A study from China in 2016 applied the colors red and blue to different kinds of tasks. Turns out red was better for straightforward tasks, whereas blue helped with the stuff needing more brain power. Blue seems to go well with creative working also. You don't need to push your brain to the limit for the best results. That's the thinking behind the Pomodoro technique, invented in the 1980s by student Francesco Cirillo. He discovered he worked better in 25-minute bursts, or Pomodoros, followed by a 5-minute rest period. By the way, he got the name Pomodoro, also known as a delicious sauce, from his kitchen timer. It's just so happened to be shaped like a juicy tomato. If a cop asks, "Mind if I take a look in your car?" They might sound friendly, but don't be fooled. If you say yes, you've just given up one of your biggest protections. In 1973, the Supreme Court ruled that police don't have to tell you that you can refuse a search, and cops have used this rule ever since. So don't guess, don't assume. Politely refuse the search and force them to meet the legal standard. And just because you say no doesn't mean they'll stop. It usually means they'll start bluffing. When it's time to butter your buns, leaving butter sitting on the counter for 60 minutes isn't ideal. Especially if you're on a tight schedule. My God, I think this was done on purpose. To expedite the process, you can use a cheese grater to turn that butter into smaller pieces, or a rolling pin, but first place it in a plastic bag to thin it out. If you prefer a more civilized approach, you can cut a stick of butter into around 8 pieces. Creating more surface area and airflow will allow the stick to soften faster. Buttering your buns, making your stick soften faster, that's what we're good at here. Work can become pretty disorganized without a schedule, but have you thought about scheduling your breaks with a break agenda? Think about it. Your time off is as important as your day-to-day tasks. Getting your headspace away from the workplace is essential. 10 to 15-minute breaks are recommended. Balance these perfectly alongside your working hours and you should find yourself becoming healthier and more productive. Just don't turn your day into one long break or your boss might think productively and fire your ass. Applying heat to a muscle often relieves the pain. We do it with a bad back, for example. But did you know it can also be good for menstrual cramps? This is when a woman's uterine muscles contract. Not something I have personal experience with, but I heard it's ever so slightly painful. Using a hot water bottle or something similar should help with those cramps, or at least help you feel relaxed. Slightly painful, just a tad. Sticking with my example of being pulled over, you should know one of a cop's favorite tricks is giving you what sounds like an order. They'll say something like, "I need you to pop the trunk," or "If you don't let us in, we'll just get a warrant." It feels official, but it's really a maneuver disguised as authority. Threatening to apply for a warrant is legal if they've got some reason, but pretending they already have one is illegal. They're betting you'll cave without realizing you can refuse. Don't fall for it. If they truly had evidence of your guilt, they wouldn't need your permission. Of course, when words and pressure aren't enough, they might just invent a reason to search anyway. Probably heard that a bit of lemon juice can keep apple slices and other cut fruit looking more appetizing. 1 part honey to 2 parts water works similarly without the sour taste of, lemon juice. If you wondered why lemon juice works, well, we've searched for the scientific answer and discovered it. Lemon juice's citric acid, vitamin C, and honey peptide inhibit the oxidation process that causes discoloration. Soda water has been shown to do the exact same thing, so you now have more than one option to keep your fruit salad looking pretty. Side hustles, or work stuff you do, on the side, are super important in the gig economy and beyond. But if you have a main job that takes up a lot of your energy, do you apply the same level of organization to your side hustle? Picking up a day and a time to do some side hustling and making it a regular part of your schedule is a guaranteed productivity boost. Just don't overwhelm yourself. Downtime is important. Are you watching this video with your eyes hurting and feeling super pressurized? Well, then you're probably suffering from eye strain, an increasing problem for people who enjoy heavy screen use. Well, here's how to stop feeling like your eyeballs are gonna pop out of their sockets. The 20-20-20 rule. After 20 minutes of screen time, focus on something 20 feet away and do that for 20 seconds. Also, give your eyes plenty of rest when you're not using a device. Should a police officer ever walk up to you on the street and start chatting, doesn't mean you're stuck there. If you're not being detained or arrested, you have every right to leave. The thing is, they are not required to tell you that. And a lot of officers won't. They'd rather you feel unsure and stick around. If you're not sure what's happening, politely ask, "Am I being detained?" If the answer is no, or if they dodge the question, you can walk away. You're not being rude. You're using your rights. Because sometimes all it takes is one tiny mistake to give them exactly what they need to go through everything you've got. Another sneaky method police employ is the knock and talk. Because kiwis are small and delicate, the fruit, not the bird, using a the New Zealand people, using a standard paring knife or vegetable grater could easily ruin your fruit and remove significantly more flesh than you had envisioned. Again, not the bird or the people from New Zealand. Instead, slice off both the tough ends of the kiwi and scoop out the middle with a spoon. I can't get through this now. The spoon's form exactly resembles that of the kiwi, delicately releasing the sour-sweet treasure from its skin. Remember your dash of soda or honey to keep it fresh and beautiful until you're ready to eat it. There is such a thing as a laziness principle. Entrepreneur David Askey puts the focus on smart working rather than pushing yourself to the limit to achieve your goals. Being lazy forms a major part of this approach. Working out how much effort to put into each task is crucial to avoid burning out. The so-called laziness comes through prioritizing the most rewarding tasks and not giving 110% all the time. Remember, less is sometimes more. If you boil up some black tea for a quarter of an hour, add 4 pints of cold water, very important, and plant your Tootsies in there, you'll hopefully wave goodbye to problem foot odor. It's recommended soaking them for half an hour, repeating every day for 7 days. The stronger the tea, the better, and you want a ratio of 2 bags for every pint of water. You see, tea is pretty acidic, which is bad news for bacteria. Plus, it shuts off your pores and keeps the sweat at bay for a little while. Reassuring to know that Mother Nature has provided her very own odor eater. You could also be sitting at home minding your own business when suddenly there's a knock at the door. It's the police. No warrants, no paperwork. They're just there for a friendly chat. They'll act like you have to open the door, let them in, but you don't. Without a warrant or some kind of emergency, they're just regular visitors knocking. You can talk through the door or step outside, but don't invite them in. If you do, anything they see or smell in plain view can be used against you. Stay polite, but firm. No warrant, no entry. And remember, whether it's at your door, your car, or out on the street, their goal is the same. Find a way in. And if they can't talk their way there, they might just switch tactics and find a reason to arrest you instead. Have you ever been in the middle of making a delicious soup or stew only to discover that it's overly salty? We've all been there. Trying to artfully dust a sprinkling of salt over our boiling soup or stew, but ending up accidentally pouring most of the pot's contents. In the future, don't worry. We found the perfect food hack to save your meal. Should this happen, simply peel and add 1 to 2 whole potatoes to your pot and let it cook. Once the potato's been boiled, remove it and you're done. Normal salt levels will have been restored. Can you use those potatoes to make French fries? Or are they like wasted now? Only one way to find out. Let us know in the comments below. You do it, not me. How long should you work out for? The answer can be shorter than you think. You may have already seen the 7-minute workout on social media. Created by Brett Klika and Chris Jordan, it's an ordered sequence of 12 high-intensity exercise moves. Jumping jacks, wall sits, push-ups, crunches, step-up squats, tricep dips, planks, high knees, lunges, push-ups with rotation, and side planks. You perform these in 30-second bursts with 10 seconds rest in between each one. Be sure to do those 12 steps in that precise order. The workout has been designed so you don't strain your muscles. Does it add up to 7 minutes? Nope, which is weird, but anyway, the results speak for themselves. Our stomachs contain powerful acid, and sometimes that acid travels upwards, burning us and causing acid reflux. This can sometimes strike when you're asleep. I mean, you're horizontal, so it's easy for the acid to slide on up there. If you have a painful throat and esophagus from acid reflux, then it's recommended you keep your head elevated in bed. Extra pillows, bed extensions, whatever you want to do. Just don't strain your back and neck. Sometimes a tiny thing like a broken taillight, yes, we're back to being in cars, or a missing insurance card is enough for an officer to flip the whole situation. If they really want to search you or your car but don't have the legal grounds, they might arrest you for something small just to make it happen. And yes, the Supreme Court signed off on this. In Atwater v. Lago Vista, 2001, a woman got handcuffed and hauled to jail for not wearing her seatbelt, a violation that normally just gets a fine. Once you're under arrest, even for something small, police can search you and parts of your car without a warrant. If it happens to you, don't resist. It won't help. Keep your cool, say as little as possible, and get a lawyer. Now, if arresting you doesn't seem like the right move, well, there's another classic trick they'll pull out next. I was gonna grab a cheese grater for this one, but I don't know where I lost my cheese grater. I don't know how that was possible. Are you fed up with cheese clinging to the grater? The first technique is to place your block of cheese in the freezer for 15 minutes before grating to harden it up and make it simpler to shred. Part of the reason for smushed cheese is heat created by grating friction. Science. Before grating the cheese, spray it with cooking oil or lightly cover the grater with oil or butter. This will result in a harder surface that is less likely to stick. The little curls will fall off the grater like nobody's business, leaving you with delicious cheese. Still can't believe I lost a cheese grater. How does one lose a cheese grater? I don't have a hack for that. A journal or notebook doesn't have to be a boring old bunch of pages. It's recommended you transform the front page of your journal into an inspiration board. This brings together your thoughts and ideas for projects. It involves not only words, but scraps of material or color ideas to bring your assignments to life. This can really help you think clearly and get what's in your mind out onto the page. The urge to scratch a pesky rash is irresistible, but resist it you must. Your enemy here is dryness. Regularly applying a cloth soaked in icy water should soothe and moisten the itchy area. You can also go with cool water in the form of a compress. Unless you're made of steel, scratching your skin is inevitable. A way around that is to trim your nails super short, saving irritation and damage to your epidermis. Let's say you've done everything right so far. Stayed calm, stayed polite, refused the search. The next move some officers love to pull is claiming they smell something illegal. I smell weed, they'll say, even if you've never touched the stuff. And in a lot of places, well, that's all they need to start searching your car without asking, again. Courts usually back them up because smell is considered a probable cause. It's not fair, but it's hard to argue in the moment. If it happens, don't argue. Just hold your ground politely and take mental notes. Or better yet, record the encounter, because once that happens, you're building a case for later. Which brings me to our next one. Deviled eggs, anyone? It may be a protein treat, but those obstinate eggshells can be extremely difficult to remove. Here are a few pointers if you love a boiled egg but need help with removing the shells. Begin by cooking the eggs in boiling water. Yes, how you prepare them does matter. Once cooked, immerse your eggs in an ice-cold bath for a few minutes to cool completely. Then gently fracture the shells and peel them off in the water or under a cold running faucet. Working from home? Or maybe even have your own office? Ever thought about redecorating to give your productivity a boost? It's easy to overlook, but making your workspace feel more like you can be a great way to work more effectively. When you're truly comfortable in your environment, a natural focus will follow. Here's a weird sounding hack that produces great results for joint pain. The ancient drink turmeric milk is an old school solution to feeling creaky. The compound curcumin is what gives turmeric milk its bright coloring, and turns out it also works wonders on our bones. Curcumin reportedly tackles pain and relieves rheumatoid arthritis. And I know you don't automatically think of refreshments when it comes to our skeletons, but no wonder they call it golden milk. Some officers will confidently tell you something that just isn't true, like, "It's illegal to film police, hand me your phone," or "If you stay quiet, that's obstruction." Neither of those are true. You have the right to record public officials doing their jobs, and you have the right to stay silent, as long as you're not physically getting in the way. So if an officer makes a big threat, stay collected, ask if you're free to go, and don't unlock or hand over anything you don't legally have to. Then again, if scaring you on the spot doesn't work, their next move might be to invite you into their turf. Do you ever get an overpowering longing for ice cream only to find it frozen solid in your freezer? Probably not this one. The good news is that there's a simple solution. Put your ice cream container in a plastic bag, squeeze out all the air and seal it tightly. By keeping the air out, your ice cream will stay delightfully soft while preventing freezer burn. You can also cover the ice cream with wax paper before putting it back in the freezer. Wax paper barriers also prevent freezer burn. You know what also prevents freezer burn? Eating all your ice cream in one sitting. I'm having fun with this list. Sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. What a stupid hashtag. Don't get me started on that. Well, now I have to finish it, or it's going to melt while I do the rest of the list. You guys want to watch me finish ice cream? Oh, okay. No. Okay. While we're on the topic of ice cream, I need to know, do you guys bite your ice? You want weird Mike facts? How do you eat your ice cream? Do you like, oh God, I can't believe I'm doing this on the internet. Do you, it fits with the rest of the list. Do you lick it? Do you go, are you one of those? Or do you like bite and chew? Because that's me. Like literally, I guess turn away if you're sensitive. I can literally jam my teeth. All right. I have no problem with that. I bite and chew my ice cream. So, let me know in the comments. Hashtag licker or chewer. Oh God, this list is getting out of hand so quickly. Let's move on. I'll just keep eating the ice cream in the meantime. Receiving text alerts, social media notifications, and general pinging and beeping sounds from your devices is one of those things you can't really get away from. Or can you? Do you really need to hear about the lunch your friend ate as it happens, or the latest video of someone dressing their cat up like Ryan Gosling or whatever? This stuff is amusing, but it's affecting your productivity. Sure, there are work notifications, but disable all the other noises and you should be working efficiently without distractions. Bacteria in your digestive system cause a whole lot of gas, which means bloating. You can debloat yourself by drinking peppermint tea, a drink rich in flavonoids. Flavonoids are found in healthy foods, plus wine. Oh, that's good to know. They can act as a peace negotiator in the war zone of your guts. Happier bacteria lead to less gas and a reduction in the amount you bloat. If an officer ever says, hey, why don't you just come on down to the station to clear things up, treat that like a giant red flag. You're not under arrest, but once you're inside that little room, it sure won't feel voluntary. They don't have to read you your Miranda rights if you show up on your own, and a lot of people end up talking themselves into serious trouble. Police use the setup, the closed room, the ploy, to get you talking without all the protections you'd normally have. If they ask you in, ask back, am I a suspect? And can I bring a lawyer? If they dodge, well, you have your answer. But you don't even have to walk into a station for things to get tricky. In what might be our favorite hack of the day, we would like to let you know that you get more juice from any citrus fruit if you warm them up before squeezing them. I promise. Try it out by microwaving your favorite fruits for 20 to 30 seconds, then slicing and juicing them like you normally would. The heat from the microwave causes the cells within the fruit to rupture, releasing more of the delicious juice. Also try rolling them back and forth with your palm before juicing to help break down the fruit's membranes and allow even more juice to flow. While it sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, it's recommended that people bring their animals into the office for a snuggle. I mean, makes sense, right? Wouldn't you rather have the companionship of your furry friend than squeezing some rubber stress ball that's only going to strain your hand muscles? This is surely a better and healthier way of tackling any tension during the workday. Are you suffering from ear barotrauma? This is where the pressure inside your ear doesn't match up with the pressure outside, causing damage. How does it happen? Well, blame your eustachian tube, where the ear, nose, and throat join up. When the tube fails to open properly, the pressure is unequal. The result? Barotrauma. If you suspect you have it, get your ears checked. And now for the hack. Yawning regularly and swallowing can open up the tube, easing the pain or discomfort. Still can't read that word without doing it. Sucking candy and chewing gum reportedly help too. Officers can also say, you're not under arrest, we just want to talk, and start asking questions right where you are. Since it's just a chat, they skip the Miranda warning. But every word you say is still fair game. A lot of people let their guard down thinking, well, if they didn't Mirandize me, well, this doesn't count. Trust me, it absolutely does. Police might even hold off on arresting you just to keep you talking. So if it feels like an interrogation, treat it like one. Stay calm, stay polite, and don't answer anything serious without a lawyer. Because the minute you start hinting you want a lawyer, the pressure game shifts into overdrive. Pour your pancake ingredients into a squeezy bottle and squeeze into the pan for perfect pancakes. Using a squeezy bottle gives you excellent control over the amount of batter you pour and the size of the pancake. If you feel inventive, you can use your pancake batter to create fun designs such as swirls, hearts, and other shapes. Our top tip, if you have yet to hear it, Mix in some soda water with your pancake mix. Adding a splash of fizzy water to your batter can make or break it. The result is a light, fluffy pancake that just melts in your mouth. Many people aim for perfection in the workplace, especially if you're fortunate enough to be doing something you love. Is that always a good thing? Apparently not. The idea of the inner perfectionist can impact upon your productivity as well as helping it. Being a perfectionist isn't something to sneer at. However, it can impact on your mental and physical health because you might end up using all your energy trying to be perfect and not focusing on your tasks. Practice the fine art of saying, I did my best, not, I'm going to work myself into the ground. Not every job requires a perfectionist. Sitting on the toilet is comfortable, but it isn't the way we're meant to be doing our business. Ideally, you should elevate your knees over your hips. This relaxes the muscles in your back end and results in a smoother... I don't need to spell it out. Our ancestors squatted over holes. However, that's a little awkward these days. Resting your feet on a stool, no, not that type of stool, should create the same effect. The minute you even hint that you might want a lawyer, some officers will switch gears fast. They'll say things like, a lawyer's just gonna slow us down, or if you lawyer up, I can't help you. They might even throw in a guilt trip. Innocent people usually don't mind talking. It's a tactic, and a good sign you should absolutely stop talking. They know that once you bring in a lawyer, their job gets a lot harder. So, here's the move. Don't waffle. Don't ask, should I get a lawyer? Just say, I want a lawyer. That one sentence slams the brake on questioning, legally. Either way, after all that stalling, the next phase is pure psychology. We came across this great advice if your efforts to create the perfect poached egg always end in disaster. Extravagant disaster. Place a bit of cling film in a bowl, lightly grease the inside, and then crack in an egg. Gather the cling film sides together and close it securely on top. Cook for 2 to 4 minutes in boiling water, depending on the size of the egg as well as how soft you want it. 2 minutes will leave you with a beautifully runny yolk. This has gotten away from me, but it's okay, we're having fun. I'm having fun. Are you having fun? Let me know in the comments below. If not, sorry. Is your desk a talking point? Do people keep telling you to tidy up, to which you reply, it looks like a train wreck, but everything's in its place? I think you and I know that it's not exactly scientific, right? Decluttering is highly recommended. Why keep worrying about knocking over papers or food wrappers when going about your business? For example, get all those loose computer cables and put them in a neat bundle. And if something doesn't need to be there right now, put it in the drawer or attach it under your desk. Ever heard of the vagus nerve? Running between the brain and the abdomen, it's part of what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. You rely on this system to relax. Heart rate and blood pressure responds to its signals, meaning you'll want to access it if you need to calm down. How do you do that? Put a cold, damp cloth on the back of your neck. You can also do it with your chest. This helps stimulate the vagus nerve over a period of minutes, taking your body's focus away from anxiety. You've probably seen it in the movies. Good cop, bad cop. It's based on something real called the Reed technique. The idea is simple. Wear you down with isolation, pressure you with accusations, and then offer a way out through a friendly cop who empathizes and understands everything you're going through. It's not about being evil, it's about getting a confession. But the problem is, it doesn't always catch the guilty. It's led to false confessions, like what happened with Na Chuang, a teenager who confessed to a crime she didn't commit. So if the mood in the room suddenly flips from hostile to helpful, it's a strategy. Anyway, if mind games don't crack you, they'll try something even simpler. Pure exhaustion. Everybody needs an easy 3-ingredient cookie recipe in their lives. For the perfect 3-ingredient peanut butter cookies, add 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of your favorite peanut butter, and 1 egg together in a bowl and mix. Spoon clumps of your mixture onto a prepared baking tray, push them down with a fork, and bake for 15 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit. Remove them from the oven as soon as they turn golden brown. I should also mention that these cookies are gluten-free. That makes them an ideal and quick dessert for anyone who's gluten intolerant. Mike's hashtag Mike tips. What did I say it was? Mike hacks? Kind of rhymes with life hacks. 1 ingredient cookie, just eat the dough. Don't even bake it. Just take a spoon. Yeah, you're getting some extra hacks here. You may recognize the name David Allen from his Getting Things Done system of working. It sounds like a straightforward approach, but what exactly does he mean by getting things done? For starters, there's the 2-minute rule. Let's imagine an email has just landed in your inbox. How long would it take for you to reply? If it takes less than a couple of minutes, do it immediately. Remember, all those messages add up, so you're saving yourself from a pile of correspondence in the long run. Chewing gum is good for studying? Who knew? Actually, no one knows. This one is not confirmed. However, there is some evidence that popping a stick of gum in your mouth when you're doing important stuff is helpful. Whether it works as a distraction from stress or you're simply believing it because you've been told to, the gum hack has got to be worth a try. But you know what else is a cool trick? Liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I mean, it really helps out the channel so we can keep bringing you these amazing facts. Also, don't forget to check out our socials. One of the oldest tactics in the book is simply to wear you down. Some interrogations have dragged on for 12, 18, even 24 hours. And when you're exhausted, stressed, and desperate to sleep, you're a lot more likely to say whatever you think will end it. It's not some movie stunt either. DNA exoneration studies have shown that plenty of false confessions started with endless questioning. The longer they push, the more your memory and judgment take a hit. If you ever feel trapped in a room like that, you have the right to end it. Say, I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I want a lawyer. Then stop talking. However, once you're tired enough, they might change their tune and offer you a so-called way out. If you're still making rice on a stove, the time has come to just move on. Cooking rice in a glass bowl or a jug in the microwave is very easy. Cook for around 15 minutes with 2 cups of water per cup of rice, and remember to add a pinch of salt. Allow it to steam and fluff up by covering it with the dish or lid near the end of the cooking time. You will never have to stir your rice ever again, and burnt pots will be a thing of the past. Although, my girlfriend and their family, they do that, what's it called? It's the burnt pieces. That's like heavily sought after in some cultures. I love the burnt pieces at the bottom. Crispy rice, crunchy rice, something like that. It's delicious. When it's the end of the week, the temptation is to switch off, and you should. However, instead of worrying about next week's schedule over the weekend or on Monday morning, try just gritting your teeth and planning it all on Friday. As recommended by author and podcaster Laura Vanderkam, putting the effort in on Friday helps maximize the fun and makes Sunday nights less stressful. The key to productivity is easy, some people say. Setting your alarm to wake you up half an hour later than planned is surprisingly refreshing. A 2017 study applied it to baseball players with eye-opening results. They appeared to perform better when it came to cognitive function, essential for those lightning-fast reactions in sports. You'll hear things like, help yourself out by confessing, or if you cooperate, the judge will go easy on you. Now, if you're in a heap of trouble, that might sound very tempting. But here's the catch. Police officers can't actually guarantee you anything. Only prosecutors and courts decide what happens, not the officers doing the questioning. Any promise they make isn't binding, and once you confess, you've handed them exactly what they need to charge you. Moving on, here's something a lot of people don't realize. Police officers are legally allowed to lie to you. Stick to rice for a moment before we move on. We all love rice, but rice has a particular problem. You can't cook it in exact quantities, especially if you have kids at home. Leftovers are common. Microwaves can be helpful when it comes to reheating rice, but ice cubes are the cherry on top. Before reheating the rice in the microwave, place an ice cube on top of it. The ice will not melt, but steam the rice, making it delightfully fluffy and tasty yet again. No, this isn't stealing someone else's coffee. It's a bizarre sounding hack to increase your productivity. Drink a coffee, then take a nap. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Caffeine and sleep, how does that work? Well, when you drink the coffee, the stimulant doesn't perk you up right away. It needs time to percolate through your system. See what I did there? After a post-coffee power nap of up to 20 minutes, you'll be able to up and at 'em like never before. New balls, please! That cry doesn't just apply to tennis players. The ball itself has hidden medical properties. Pain in your lower back can reportedly benefit from being massaged with a tennis ball. Rolling one on the area is beneficial to your frazzled nerves. However, it's best to talk to a specialist first, as you can hurt your spine if you push in the wrong place. A lot of people don't realize that here in the US, police are legally allowed to lie to suspects during interrogations. They can say, "We found your fingerprints. Your friend already gave you up." Or, "There's video of you at the scene." Even if none of that's true.
To make things worse, in Fraser v. Cupp, 1969, the Supreme Court ruled that lying about evidence doesn't automatically make a confession invalid. The problem? Hearing that they've got proof can make even innocent people panic and confess just to get it over with. Always remember, if an officer says they have enough evidence, there's no benefit in talking. It's not your job to prove them wrong. It's your job to protect yourself. Sticking with bluffs for the moment, made-up fingerprints and fake confessions aren't the only lies you have to watch out for.
Not only are egg muffins a great breakfast, snack, or lunchbox treat, but they can also be made with leftover ingredients or a solitary sliver of ham. Chop up ham, red peppers, onions, or mushrooms, and briefly saute before spooning into a greased or prepared muffin tray. Pour over the ingredients and bake for 20 to 25 minutes at 200 Celsius or 390 Fahrenheit, or until your muffins are beautifully puffed up and brown. Be sure to add some cheese if you want to get your family hooked. Not all of us are lucky enough to work somewhere with the countryside or green spaces on our doorstep. So if you're looking out your window at a field or local park, then why not go out for some fresh air and enjoy nature? You'll literally feel happier as the great outdoors boosts your serotonin and dopamine levels. Those are the chemicals that control your body's functions and your sense of pleasure. You need both to get through the day. Your thumb is a powerful tool for stress relief. It's news to me, but apparently if you blow on it, your anxiety levels may decrease. That's nice. Conveniently, this digit has a pulse, which is a lot easier to access than feeling around your wrist. Your cool breath soothes the thumb pulse and calms you down. It's also good for giving likes on YouTube. Technically Facebook as well.
Police officers might tell you that someone picked you up out of a lineup or saw you at the scene, even if no one has. It's totally legal for them to make that up. In People v. Dominic, 1986, detectives told a suspect the victim had ID'd him, even though she hadn't seen any photos yet. And he confessed. Now, lies aside, real eyewitnesses aren't always reliable either. Descriptions change, people mix up details, or they get steered towards a suspect without even realizing it. The bottom line is that just because an officer says someone pointed the finger at you, doesn't mean it's true. Don't let a fake story push you into giving a real confession. And they can lie about your friends too.
If you like chocolate croissants or croissants, I have good news. Making your own version at home is spectacularly easy. All you need are some chocolate chips or grated chocolate and some puff pastry. Cut the pastry into squares, then diagonally slice each to make little triangles. Sprinkle chocolate in the center. Hey, chocolate in the center, just like this. Then roll from the wide to the pointed edge and fold to create a crescent-like croissant shape. Brush your croissants with a bit of whisked egg and place in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes at 180 Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit, or until your crust is crisp and slightly golden brown and the chocolate is melted. Those having difficulty scheduling and prioritizing work should check out Pareto's Principle. Late 19th century economist Vilfredo Pareto realized one day that the juiciest fruit often comes from a small number of trees. In business terms, you could see it as 20% of customers delivering 80% of profit for a company. Rather than devoting equal time and resources to all customers, the Pareto Principle dictates focusing on the key 20%, because that's where the good stuff is. Working out is the most dreaded part of the day, unless you're some kind of masochist who actually enjoys exercise. Make things easier on yourself by using micro goals. Instead of running 1,000 meters, run 100, 50, 25, whatever comfortable. And these baby steps work to your advantage. Bite-sized achievements soon add up. And each time, your brain receives a reward through the molecule dopamine, which generates good feelings after you exercise. They might casually say something like, "Your friend already told us everything, like it's no big deal." Suddenly, it's not just about you anymore. You start worrying about loyalty, about who's saying what, about saving yourself. And that's exactly the point. In People v. Dominic, detectives decided to go with this move, telling a suspect that his cousin had confessed. He hadn't, but just hearing it got the suspect talking. It's not just lying, it's playing you against the people you trust. Okay, let's talk about how even the way they ask a question can back you into a corner. While I'm on the subject of pastries and all things good, some of you may think I'm exaggerating when I tell you mug cakes will change your life. But I'm talking about a personalized dish of scrumptious cake that can be created in less than 5 minutes. There are countless mug cake variations that you can dream up in your microwave. Experiment with what you have on hand. The best part? There are no dishes to wash and the cakes are ready in minutes. If you think it's too good to be true, I dare you to give it a shot. If you appreciate cake and baked products as much as I do, your sweet tooth has met its match. Progress. Productivity involves tough decisions, such as doing the most awkward job of the day first. No one likes getting to grips with these kinds of tasks first thing, but imagine how relieved you'll feel once you've eaten that frog. Author and consultant Brian Tracy developed the idea, but enough about that. Where does that crazy name come from? It's actually taken from a book by legendary author Mark Twain. Maybe you have a whole bunch of frogs in your inbox/pond. In that case, pick the biggest one and start chewing. Setting aside time in the day to worry about your problems is a bizarre but brilliant way of handling stress. Usually people think about this stuff while they're trying to sleep. That is a big mistake. You should preempt the issue by wearing your socks off earlier. Theoretically, you'll be all worried out and get a better night's sleep.
Not every question is innocent. Some are designed to steer you toward a certain answer without you even noticing. They'll ask you things like, did you see the man in black and white overalls? Not a man, which quietly suggests that guy definitely existed. Loaded questions are even trickier. What time did you leave in the getaway car? Assumes you were even near the crime. These setups are built to box you in and make you confirm details you might not even know about. If a question feels strange or unfair, that's your sign to slow down, think carefully, or better yet, keep quiet. Unfortunately, not every threat wears a badge or asks official questions.
There's a little bit of magic bestowed on each of us when we order and receive our favorite caffeine drink at our favorite coffee shop. A wonderful calm, even if it's only for a few minutes. We can't bring that magic home, but we can tell you how to have a barista-style coffee moment in the comfort of your own home. Fill a jar halfway with your preferred milk, screw on the lid, and shake. When the foam forms, remove the lid and microwave on high for 30 seconds. Your froth will have doubled in size and be the ideal topping for your home-brewed coffee. I really like that chocolate cream cold brew at Starbucks. It's fantastic. Although my favorite coffee, feel free to steal this. It is a iced coffee. It is a Reese's iced coffee with, it used to be Cold Stone creamer, but they lost the branding, so now it's just like sweet creamer. Oh, it tastes like melted Reese's ice cream. Created by entrepreneur Francesco Cirillo, the Pomodoro technique is named after the Pomodori, or novelty kitchen timer he used as a student. He found that a 25-minute work period followed by a 5-minute rest period worked out best for him. Rinse and repeat throughout the day, and take a longer break once you've repeated the technique 4 times. Cirillo had improved timekeeping and focus thanks to that little red tomato. We all need to eat, but for many of us, the business of shoveling food down your face is all too easy. How do you stop binging on chips? You might want to try a protein fix. Our brains find foods with protein a lot more satisfying, thanks to their energy-giving properties and important amino acids. So when you put protein first, you feel fuller and faster on a hormonal level.
In serious cases, police sometimes plant an undercover officer informant right next to you, in a jail cell, on the street, or even at work. In cases like these, you might think you're venting to another regular person, but every word is passed straight back to the cops. And it's perfectly legal. In Illinois v. Perkins, 1990, the court decided that Miranda rights do not apply when a suspect unknowingly speaks to an undercover officer. It's a sneaky move because you don't see it coming. The rule here? If you've been arrested or you're caught up in something serious, don't discuss anything with anyone you don't absolutely trust. However, when the police can't reach you directly, they might reach out to someone you'd never suspect.
An omelet in a mug might sound weird, but it's quick and easy and leaves you with fewer dishes to wash. Whisk together an egg, 2 egg whites, spices, and some grated cheese or ham. Place the mixture in a greased mug and microwave for 1 minute on high. Stir and cook for another minute on high. While many microwave recipes produce a poor substitute for properly cooked food, microwaved omelet is surprisingly delicate and delicious. If you're aiming to eat healthier, this method of cooking eggs will also significantly cut down on extra fat. It's healthy. Trust me. Instead of putting tons of effort into avoiding distractions, why not confront them head on? People's brains can move at 1,000,000 miles a minute, even when engaged with the most absorbing tasks. As thoughts occur to you, record them in a distraction list. It may seem silly. I mean, why write down what you're having for dinner in the middle of an important assignment? However, it helps productivity. By writing them down, you're also getting them out of your system. Over time, these thoughts will theoretically distract you less because you're compartmentalizing them and recognizing how unimportant they are at the moment. If your eyes feel dry from overuse, then screen time is probably responsible. Unfortunately, we find our devices so absorbing that our brains forget to blink. Keeping your eyes lubricated is essential, which is why experts are starting to consider blinking exercises. One such exercise is to blink no more than 50 times in a minute. By the way, you should be fluttering your eyelids rather than shutting them tight on each blink. You can do this exercise up to 5 times every day.
If someone in your circle gets into trouble, police might offer them a deal. Help us and we'll go easy on you. That could mean wearing a wire, forwarding your texts, or just quietly reporting what you say. In Hoffa v. United States, 1966, the Supreme Court made it clear. If you share something willingly, even with a friend who's secretly an informant, it's fair game. It's a tough reality, but once a secret's out, you've lost control of it. So if someone you know suddenly gets a little too curious about your business, be cautious. Trust matters, but so does knowing when to keep quiet. Since I've covered how people close to you can turn informant, let me talk about how total strangers can do the same thing without ever meeting you.
Waffle makers aren't just for making waffles. You can make omelets, quesadillas, and best of all, even hash browns in them. Spritz some oil or nonstick spray into your waffle maker first, and simply add your favorite mix. When you prepare hash browns in a waffle maker, you get an even cook, gorgeous crisp on both sides, not to mention a soft, smooth potato interior. And you get all this without having to turn or fuss over the potatoes that might come apart in the pan. Someone who's a yes person is typically thought of as a spineless doormat in the workplace. But it's a fact that people, especially bosses, like to hear the word yes a lot more than no. Some productivity experts believe that no is a better option in the long run. If you keep saying yes, then it's only going to hit harder when you realize the task you have is pretty much impossible to achieve in the time frame. Your boss will get even angrier, and you might be saying yes to unemployment benefits. Did you know that humming may help you avoid a sinus infection? Think of it as a workout for the inner pathways of your headspace. A Swedish study from 2002 identified that humming promotes nitric oxide, a gas that does all kinds of good things for your noggin. Additionally, there's more air flowing through your sinuses when you hum. These seem to help clear those channels. The clearer the sinuses, the healthier they'll be.
I've covered how strangers in jail cells and even your own friends can turn on you, but what about people you've never even met? These days, you don't need to be sitting across from someone to get set up. Cops are all over social media, watching public posts, joining private groups, and even sliding into your DMs with fake profiles. That random new follower could be an undercover account gathering evidence. In New York City, officers used fake Facebook profiles to track gang suspects and even made arrests. And it's not just bragging that gets people into trouble. Sarcastic jokes can be twisted too. I think it's safe to say that if you wouldn't say it to a cop's face, it's safer not to post it at all. Strange internet stings aside, cops still love the old school approach too.
When we hear the word bacon, apart from the immediate brain muscle memory of its incredible smell, we immediately picture it sizzling in a frying pan. However, there are easier ways to prepare your favorite breakfast meat, such as, your microwave. Before you run away in disgust, try this at least once. Place a paper towel on a dish and arrange the strips of bacon on top, not touching. Cook for 3 minutes on high, covered with another paper towel. Give the bacon a minute or two to cool down before transferring it to another paper towel to absorb the excess fat. The next step, you can thank us later. Just make sure it's not crispy. Crunchy bacon's still awful. That can be crunchy. That's meant to be crunchy. Meat, not meant to be crunchy. Absolutely not. Who wants crunchy meat? I'm not kidding. Name another meat that you like crunchy. Fried chicken doesn't count. That's not the meat. That's the skin. Is it non-productive to listen to music while you work? Some people find it helps them focus, depending on the type. Heavy metal probably won't do it, but classical music is said to be highly effective. Plus, if you want to be more scientific about it, you can listen to what are called binaural beats. Here, your left and right ears receive different frequencies. This reportedly creates a sweet spot in your brain, delivering instant productivity. Keeping warm when you sleep is important, otherwise you might catch a chill. You're probably thinking it's the room that'll do that, but I have news. Your body temperature goes down also. The ideal temperature for a bedroom is a little over 18 degrees Celsius. Cozy, but not too hot. And also a little bit cool, which will help your body relax at bedtime.
Police love a good sting operation. They'll pose as drug buyers, sex workers, or shady dealers to see who bites. Stings are legal, but entrapment, tricking someone into committing a crime they wouldn't normally commit, isn't. The line gets blurry fast. If an officer keeps pushing and begging you to do something illegal, that could count as entrapment. But if you jump at the chance, well, that's on you. There have been some ugly cases where cops pushed vulnerable people way too far. The safest move? If a stranger is too eager to get you to break the law, walk away. Luckily, in most cases, setups aren't complicated, but there are some that can be compared to Hollywood productions.
There are only a few things more unpleasant than peeling fresh garlic with its hard and sticky, odorous residue that just clings to your fingers for days. Luckily, we came across a very neat hack on TikTok. Next time your recipe asks for a clove, microwave it for up to 30 seconds. That terribly little icky skin will just peel right off. The only snag? Well, depending on the power of your microwave, 30 seconds may turn your garlic mushy. To be safe, start by cooking it for 15 to 20 seconds to find your microwave's sweet spot. There's another way. I do know this. Basically what you do, you take your garlic, you break all the cloves or whatever, you throw it in there to skin and everything. Not a lot. You want maybe a few, maybe a handful. You take 2 bowls and you put them together and you just shake vigorously. It comes out. So this one works too. Try both. Let me know which one you like. Hashtag Mike Hacks. You're getting way more than 25 items. What a deal. For free. If you're going to take advice on productivity, why not listen to former President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln? His quote about chopping down trees is worth remembering. Lincoln stated, "If I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 6 hours sharpening my axe." That guy must have had one hell of a chopping action, but you can see what he's getting at. Effective working is mostly preparation. If the prep is there, the tree's going to fall all that much quicker. This hack was mentioned by Tom Matthews in a 2020 LinkedIn post. Apparently, the smell of oranges, lemons, and other citrus fruits is a guaranteed mood lifter. A surprising study from Japan showed that if you took a sniff of citrus for 10 minutes, you'd be in a better state of mind for a half an hour or so afterward. I'd recommend buying something like an orange-scented candle for this. You don't want to accidentally squirt raw orange zest up your nose.
Have you ever heard of the Mr. Big sting? It was dreamed up in Canada, of all places. If you've been targeted, the police don't just target you with an undercover cop, they'll build a whole fake criminal empire around you. You get recruited, sent on fake jobs, paid real money, and treated like you're part of the crew. Then, just when you're feeling all important, you meet Mr. Big, the boss, who says you've got to confess to any serious crimes before you're fully trusted. Under pressure to impress, a lot of people spill everything. Some have even confessed to crimes they didn't commit. Canada's Supreme Court at one point stepped in and said these confessions have to be treated with major skepticism. The US and UK won't even allow stings like this, but they still happen in places like Australia and New Zealand. Alright, now that I've covered how police officers can squeeze suspects, let's talk about how they get information out of witnesses too.
This coming Thanksgiving, when cooking an entire turkey or chicken, remember to ice the breast of the bird. As dark thigh meat takes longer to cook than white breast meat, cooling the breasts will guarantee even cooking. We know what you're thinking. Icing? Yeah, because that's what we're thinking. It's more straightforward than it sounds. When you take the turkey out of the refrigerator to bring it to room temperature, put ice packs or bags of ice on the turkey breast. This simple trick can make the breasts up to 15 degrees Fahrenheit colder than the rest of the bird, which means they can take up to an hour longer to cook than if they weren't iced, which allows the dark meat enough time to cook without drying out the rest. Working from home is commonplace these days, but billions of people still have to struggle to work on public transportation or wait in traffic jams during the rush hour. Should you be stuck in a vehicle with nothing to do, then why not check your emails or listen to a productivity podcast for even more hacks? But watch the road if you're in a car, though. Sleep can be pretty hazardous if you don't do it right. For example, it's easy to strain your back if you rest in the wrong position. Experts recommend you lie on your side and put a pillow between your legs. What effect does this have? Well, it should mean that your spine is happier because it's comfortably in sync with your hips and pelvis. Your knees reportedly experience less pressure too.
And no, they don't just sit them down and ask, "What happened?" Instead, they use something called cognitive interview. It's all about jogging the memory without pushing too hard. They'll ask about random details, like what the weather was like or what smells were floating around in the air, to get the brain working. Sometimes they'll even ask people to recall the events backwards, which sounds weird, but actually helps. It's not about tricking the witness, really. It's about getting more details by loosening up the memory. Still, memories can be messy, and even a confident eyewitness can remember things wrong. Bringing an end to the list, there's one last technique you should know about.
Using an electric hand mixer is a simple alternative for individuals who would rather avoid the repetitive arm exercises that comes with mashing potatoes. A hand mixer not only saves time, but also ensures a lump-free mash every time. However, please note that we recommend a hand mixer, not a hand blender. A hand blender, or immersion blender, will extract too much starch from the potatoes, producing thick, gluey mashed potatoes. As an added benefit, when using a hand mixer, you can add more liquid and oil while avoiding releasing too much starch from the potatoes. If you hadn't known that before, well then, you're very welcome. You'll be amazed at the effect natural light can have on your productivity. Going outside and enjoying green spaces is great for your health, but simply having access to light from the outdoors is beneficial too. A study by the University of Illinois and Northwestern Medicine released in 2014 showed that workers had better sleep thanks to a reported 176% increase in natural light through their office windows. This gave them an extra 46 minutes per night. I've heard of some interesting ways to start a diet, but headaches? Well, no pain, no gain, I guess. The idea is to avoid foods that set off migraines and such. To make things even weirder, here's a crazy fact for you. Pizza can potentially give you a headache. That's down to a compound in cheese called tyramine. A more familiar cause is coffee. Most of us have heard of the caffeine headache. Even so, things get complicated there because you can develop a headache from caffeine withdrawal. Your body can't help but react to certain elements in food. However, following a headache-free diet is one path to an easier life.
It's called a kinesic interview, and it's less about what you say and more about how you say it. While you're answering questions, officers are trained to watch every twitch, glance, and fidget. Slumping in your chair, crossing your arms, rubbing your neck, all of these can be flagged as confession behaviors. Some departments even teach that liars look up and to the left when answering, even though modern research says that's not actually a reliable sign of lying. Still, these old school tactics get used all the time. The real takeaway? If you're ever questioned, remember, police aren't just listening to your words. They're reading you. And after everything we've covered today, you can see just how much they're trained to spot or create an advantage.